Hey, welcome to House Groups, and I just want to let you know that I am so thankful that you've chosen to intentionally connect and to be part of the community. Hopefully at this point, your group has met at least one time, maybe even a couple of times, and you've been in the process of getting to know some of the people that also attend Imagine. And I want to just encourage you to continue to lean into that experience. And sometimes we can go and attend something for a week or for a couple of weeks, and because it just doesn't feel the way that we are hoping or want it to feel, we decide that we're going to end something early. But I just want to encourage you that relationships take time to develop, and so I just want to encourage you to continue to be a part of connection and community. We want to be a church where we have the opportunity to get to know other people, but where also we have a chance to be known. This week, we continued our series on the Sermon on the Mount. And one of the things that I would really encourage you to do is to just spend time reading through the passage that we looked at and the call that Jesus puts on our lives to reframe or to rethink how we view and deal with anger. You can find it in Matthew chapter 5. It's only a few short verses, 21 through 26. And so, like I said, I would encourage you to just take a few moments, read through that passage and talk about what it is that you see or questions that you have or observations that strike you. As we talked about on Sunday, some of the big takeaways were that it really is about our hearts, and that Jesus cares about what goes on inside of us, and that oftentimes the way that we deal with anger and the way that we view people starts from the inside. And murder isn't something that many, if any of us, will ever physically do, but there's so many thoughts that we have. There's so many ways that we want to treat people that sometimes no one ever realizes. And there's so much resentment that we carry. And so Jesus cares tremendously about the hearts that we have. He also calls us to deal with this issue with a sense of urgency. There's an importance that goes around this idea of anger. And I think one of the reasons is because he recognizes and understands that anger, especially when we lose control, man, it can leave an incredibly destructive path. And so he reminds us that it's not just about having a sense of urgency and importance in recognizing anger, but when we know that there's anger that's taking place, or when we know that a relationship has been broken, that our call is to reconciliation. In fact, he reminds us to leave our gift at the altar, to go seek out that person and to restore that relationship. That's how much he cares about the way that we frame and think and act on anger and broken relationships that we have. And so it's about our hearts. It's a matter of importance. And then there also is a sense of urgency that you and I need to have. That the longer that we wait, the more difficult and challenging it becomes for us to be able to restore those relationships. And so the encouragement that I left us with yesterday is to be willing to walk across a room, that it starts with us being willing to go out and to work on restoring those relationships. And I want to remind us, it doesn't mean that we need to go back to becoming best friends with whoever that individual might be, because let's be honest, there's some people that have hurt and that have wounded us incredibly deeply. But it does mean that our call is to let go of the anger and the resentment that we feel. And so it starts with us being willing to walk across a room and to also own whatever part of the fight that we might have, no matter how small that percentage might be. All of us have ways that we could have and should have and probably needed to act or think differently than what we did in given situations and moments. And so my hope is that your group tonight has some really fantastic conversations, that you guys are able to connect not only with each other, but around this idea of how we need to reframe and rethink about the way that we deal with the anger and how we choose to treat the people that are around us. My hope and my prayer is that God does immeasurably more through your conversation. You guys are the best. Thanks so much for being a part of our groups tonight.